Hi everyone, I'm Zach Reinhardt, here to do a new EP wrap-up video. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. This is a irregular series that I do whenever I have any EPs that have piqued my interest and don't want to do a full review of, so I just kind of drop them here a few at a time. As you can see, I'm not in my house. I'm here in a hotel in Cleveland, been traveling around for concerts and having a lot of fun. But getting into the EPs, starting off with the new Kujaku EP, Kaden. This EP came out several months ago, like June or July, and I got it when it came out and was listening to it, and I just forgot to put it on the EP wrap up, the last one when I did that. So it's a little belated, but here it is. New Kujaku EP. This thing sounds a lot like Swans, if you're familiar with that band. This has 2 songs on it, and they're both about 7 or 8 minutes. And over the course of that kind of long run time, they have like one driving rhythm that kind of builds and builds and builds. It's almost post-rocky in the way it kind of builds over a long time, and then it has very Swans-esque kind of somewhat atonal, somewhat tonal vocals being kind of orated over the like cacophony of like brittle guitars and just like thick bass and drums all kind of built up on top of each other. It's pretty dizzying and a little bit psychedelic at times with the way they use a lot of echoes and reverb, and just generally there's a lot of kind of resonance on everything. I do find the production to be a little bit grating at times. It's a little bit brittle, but overall these are pretty solid. They do this sound a lot of justice, and while they do kind of wear their influences on their sleeve a bit, the sound isn't overplayed, and this is a solid addition to the kind of Swansea, Bauhaus, like post-punky kind of psychedelic stuff that I don't know, I guess it's post-rock, but it's like really far from anything like you'd hear Explosions in the Sky doing. But yeah, overall, pretty solid little EP here. And then moving on from that, we've got the new Tropical Death EP, Thunder Island. Tropical Death, this is their debut EP. It's out on Call and Response Records, one of my favorite record labels. I've talked about them before. And this band is comprised of 2 of the members of Loop Rider and a former member of The Mornings. 2 of my favorite bands just ever. So on paper, this thing has got to be just great. And while it's not mind-blowing or anything like that, it definitely lives up to the expectation and is a solidly enjoyable little cassette here. It kicks off with the track Murder in the Streets, which is immediately like upbeat and almost danceable. It has like these kind of angular guitar melodies as well, and this synth comes in that almost makes me think new wave. And then when the vocals come in, the whole thing gets really heavy and like almost metal-y, but not quite. And the track really progresses at a like kind of dizzying pace. Like it doesn't stick on one part for very long, and this is across the whole EP. There's a lot of cool passages of like the 2 guitars kind of playing off of each other in a kind of point counterpoint kind of way, never harmonizing in a like really super pleasing way. They always seem to pick like a weird harmony, and there's a big cheesy guitar solo at the end, so you know, what more can you ask for? While there are vocals on most of the tracks on here, it's clear that there's a much bigger focus on the instrumentals, And basically, what you're getting here with this EP is four people who know what they're doing and are good at what they do, just jamming the fuck out. This thing spans from like pop punk all the way to like math rock and post punk. Um, it's just a really solid EP front to back. And finally, this isn't an EP, but it's an album I'm not going to do a full review of, and I felt like I should address it because it's one of those bands that gets a lot of overseas press. And it's the new Mono album, Requiem for Hell. Mono is a post rock band that came along in the kind of third wave of post rock, and they've just been at it since the like early 2000s. They put out some solid stuff and have unfortunately grown kind of stagnant since then. The title track, Requiem for Hell, was promised to be a bit more dissonant and noisy than Mono's past stuff. And I guess they delivered on that. Like, it is more distorted and kind of dark than a lot of their past stuff. It's not exactly unexplored territory entirely for Mono here. And the rest of the tracks are really samey. Like, they just sound like they could have come off any other Mono album in the past 10 years. If you like Mono and you want more Mono, here it is. You already know what this sounds like. You already know whether or not you like it. But if you don't know Mono, like, this isn't the best starting point. Go listen to like You Are There or something. Mono is really kind of formulaic and predictable at this point. And I guess if you just really like Mono's sound, that might be a good thing for you. And you might just, always know that a Mono record's going to be a good one. But for me, I want a little more progression. I've kind of heard all of this played out and done better on past Mono records and past post-rock albums by other bands. And it's just a little boring for me to hear them kind of just doing the same thing. But yeah, who knows? If you're into it, you enjoy it, man. More power to you. But yeah, that's it for me. Sorry I wasn't able to talk more about these albums, but I've really got to get on the road here in a few minutes. I got to check out of this hotel, so I'm kind of in a rush, so I wasn't able to be as verbose as I usually am. But hopefully this kind of covers my thoughts on these three releases. And no review next week because I will be at a Catacon in Dayton, Ohio, which is a big tabletop gaming convention that I go to every year. I have a friend who is part of the faculty, and so I always go out and hang out with a bunch of cool people and play role-playing games and board games and stuff. So yeah, but 2 weeks from now, we're back on the every Sunday schedule. And until then, hope you guys have a good day. I'll see you around. Peace.